Nozze di Figaro was a big success, as of course everyone of you already knows. It was the first of the trilogy, the three comic operas of Mozart, on the libretto of Lorenzo da Ponte, who Lorenzo da Ponte was also Italian. At the time, it was absolutely normal to write in Italian language. By the way, Mozart actually himself spoke Italian, also because he traveled through Italy 3 times with his father already as a child. So it was rather he was rather familiar with this language. And Lorenzo da Ponte was his librettist. Lorenzo da Ponte had a strange life. He was even a priest, but he had problems with the justice. In a certain moment of his life, he had even 2 families. Well, he escaped actually from Italy and even from Europe and landed in America, in New York. So actually, he ended his life there. He was also the first Italian professor for Italian literature at the Columbia University, and he also imported the Don Giovanni there in New York, and even the music of Rossini. And what is very particular about the relation Mozart Lorenzo da Ponte, what impressed me is that by coincidence, both of them actually do not have a real, how can I say, grave, or at least not a specific one. As you probably know, Mozart ended his life in misery. And what does this mean? It means that he had actually not the money to pay for a funeral, so he did not even had extreme union, and he was brought in a mass grave at a cemetery in Vienna of St. Mark's, where I actually have been. I have done this pilgrimage. I have visited this wonderful, old, fascinating cemetery, St. Mark's in Vienna of that time, and it is very special because you can see on the gravestones there's really stories. The baker of the Augsburg family. You can really the hairdresser of the Augsburg family. It's amazing, and you have really an insight in the lives of these persons. And well, Mozart is there somewhere, approximately there. Well, this happened also actually to Lorenzo da Ponte in New York, in Manhattan. He is buried somewhere in the Catholic cemetery of Manhattan in Little Italy. Behind, I wrote it down, the old St. Patrick's Cathedral, if you're there. But we don't know specifically where. And well, what else to say? Of course, everyone knows that Mozart was a genius. We don't need to. Well, there are enough biographies about that. He learned actually to compose before writing the alphabet. So his first composition seems to be at age 5, something like that. And he must have had a prodigious memory, something extraordinary. His father was completely aware of that, and therefore he brought his son 3 times as child through Italy, because there was not sent internet like we do have. So he brought really this little child to Italy to show him like a circus phenomenon. And actually the little child also risked to die a few times, because well, this traveling was very exhausting and cold. And he was recognized very soon as a genius. For example, in Milano, the composer Hasse met him and he said, well, after this little boy, we will all be forgotten. And well, he was right. And another incredible story, the Royal Society asked, incredible, to some doctors to check. They did not believe that actually Mozart was a child with this talent, with this prodigious talent, that they asked the doctors, can you please visit this child and tell us that he's not maybe a dwarf with the illness of dwarfism, so the persons who are ill and who do not grow. No, he was a child. He was really a genius child, and he was so genius that there is an incredible story. Maybe some of you know it, maybe not. When he was in Rome in 1770, and for Eastern, they went to the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel to listen at the Miserere of Gregorio Allegri, which was absolutely a taboo, a secret. This piece was very precious, and it was absolutely forbidden to perform it and export it. And he would have dared to do it, would have been excommunicated. Well, they did not count on the teenager Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who was there and listened at this fantastic polyphonic composition, very complicated because it's for 9 voices. It's for actually 2 choirs, 1 choir and 4 voices, and 1 choir, 5 voices, a cappella, but really beautiful, but really complex. Well, he listened to it, and then in the evening, what did he do? Instead of playing the ball, he wrote down the whole composition. He transcribed it by heart, by memory. And the next day he went back with his father, and well, he listened again to make some little few corrections, which he did. And in this way, yes, this incredible, beautiful music actually came out of the Vatican and became public. And the Pope was so impressed about this teenager that he did not even have the courage to excommunicate Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Lucky him. So this is just to say a few words about the genius of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and I hope you will enjoy. So the recitatives that I have actually read and recorded of Nozze di Figaro, and which you can find now on my webpage. So they are available again in single acts, or they are available in a package. Maybe some of you can profit and have some advantage preparing an aria with the recitative. The recitative is always the most difficult part. Maybe also a good suggestion, because you will, if you will make a career in singing, probably you will sing 70% of the time in Italian. A good investment is actually to learn a bit basic Italian. This is actually the best investment at all that a singer can do. And watch out, again, I tell you, about the closed and the open vowels. I was very careful about that in my work when I recorded this 4 acts of Nozze di Figaro. So watch out about open and closed vowels. Take notes, and be aware that in Italian we do stretch and plan on the vowels. So maybe also another thing that might help you very much is to think vowels double, especially in recitatives where the rhythm is rather short, built on 8 notes or things like this. Try to stretch them, try to make them longer, and think maybe them double in your brain, yes, so that you can really phonate. Another thing that I really suggest you, don't go in the recitatives too quickly, I mean singing them. Wait. Approach them as if you would be an actor or an actress. Read them, digest them, declamate them, really as if you would be a Shakespearean actor. This will enormously help you and speed up the whole process. And only when you're really ready, I suggest you to go in, in the singing. Also because it's a completely different dimension compared to an aria. In an aria, of course, we show, well, how wonderful acrobatic we can be sometimes, but in the recitative, no. It's about text, and it has to be understood, especially because it's written in a way really in the middle range mostly, so there are no excuses. Yes. So this was the announcement. I hope that some of you can have an advantage of it, of this recording that I did of Nozze di Figaro recitatives. And next I will go on preparing the recitatives of Don Giovanni, which I love very much, and then later of Così fan tutte.